session, we will be reviewing XCAP sign-up for members, Prospect XCapture, as well as PT XCapture. When you log into Club Systems via your desktop computer or mobile device, such as a tablet or an iPad, you will be able to click on XCapture to sign up members. Clicking on XCapture, a screen will appear that will show all of the different membership options that you have. If this is a new member, you would simply go to the membership type that the member is signing up for today and click on that selection. Once the membership has been selected, we come to the contract or member registration page. Up at the top, we do have a staff use only section where your employee to fill out the section, starting with inputting the member number. This is what's going to be known as the membership account number in the system. Typically what is used for this is the key tag number or barcode number that's found on the member's card to scan into the club with. Once that number is inputted, you would next put them on a billing cycle, depending on when they would need to bill. If you bill once a month, then everybody would be on a cycle 1. If you bill twice a month, then you would deal with cycle 1 and 2. You would select cycle 1 for the date that's toward the beginning of the month, and then you would select cycle 2 for your second billing date out of the month that you would bill your members on, and so on and so forth. As you notice, these are not the days of the month, but versus how many different billing cycles you have, and you would put them either on the first, second, or third, etc., depending on when this customer in particular would need to be billed. Sales rep is next. Selecting the sales rep is just simply notating the employee that's signing up the member. We can put them in a special group if that applies to this person. For example, if they're part of some special corporate or business account, you would be able to notate that at this time if it applied to the customer. There is a field called primary member, in which if you were doing an add-on for somebody that's already in your system, you can notate who that person is that's in your system currently by searching for them by their last name. As you start to type in the first few letters of their last name, a list will populate that shows you the people in the system that have that last name, in which you'd be able to just select on their name to put in their account number. And what this will do is add this new person that's being inputted to the existing person in the account's particular membership. So this will add them on as a link or a sub-account to this primary member. Otherwise, if this is a brand new member, you will go ahead and just leave this blank since we're not attaching them to someone in the system. Under the member registration section, depending on how you set up this option, you will see different pricing here. So if you do charge an enrollment fee, that will be listed here. If we charge the customer their first month's dues upon joining, that's going to be listed here. And it will give us a total that's due today from the customer, as well as what their monthly dues moving down the line are going to be. That will be listed here as well. If you have selected for this membership to show some of your optional amenities or services, that would also be shown under the section called Optional Amenities, in which you'd be able to add whichever item that the customer is signing up for or is required to have, such as an annual fee in this case. And we would be able to add this to the member account at this time. Personal information is next. All of the contact info that we have for the customer would go into these fields. Then we would go ahead and type in the billing information for the customer. So depending on how they're paying, if they're paying via credit card, we would select the first bubble, which is I want to use my credit card, and go ahead and input that credit card information. If they're paying through their bank account, we would select I want to use my bank account and then input that information. And then the third option is putting them on some sort of a statement billing, which would be not auto-debited, but more of a statement billing where it's going to show those dues on the member account when they're due versus debiting it from any credit card or bank account. Toward the bottom, we have our terms and conditions. So the member would click on Agree to bring down the verbiage for those terms and conditions. And then once they've been able to review that information, the boxes can be checked that they agree to those terms and conditions. Finally, here at the bottom, we have the section to capture the signature from the customer if it's a minor and a parent or guardian is having to sign, or if somebody else is paying for the membership and they would have to sign. We have a separate section down here at the bottom for that. Once we are complete with filling out this particular form, we would go ahead and hit continue. At that time, a copy will get emailed to the customer automatically, as well as they are inputted now as a member in the system with the copy of their form saved on their account as well. If we would like to rewrite an existing member, we would click on XCapture. Up at the top toward the left, you'll notice that there's a field called Rewrite where you would be able to type in the customer's last name or type in their account number if that information is available. Again, as we type in the first few letters of the last name, we will see a list that shows the people in our system that have that last name, and you would be able to select the person right off of your list. So that will populate their account number in this field for us. We can next go down and select the membership type that they're rewriting to and make that selection. Up at the top, there's little to do here. You might need to make some adjustments, like if they're going to be on a different billing cycle, etc. We're going to see under their member registration area what's going to be due for their membership. But doing them as a rewrite, you'll notice that any of their contact information is just going to be brought over for us from their original account. So any phone numbers, address information, emails, those will be automatically populated into these sections because we're just simply doing a rewrite at this time. And then we have the same billing information section to choose how they're billing for this particular membership. Any terms and conditions that need to be reviewed and agreed upon will show in this section. And then finally, we can get that signature from the member on this new contract and hit continue to complete it. If we're needing to access any of the change forms because the customer is wanting to make a change on their account, whether it's a freeze request, cancellation request, or simply up billing, we will click on XCapture for that as well. Using that same rewrite field that's at the top left corner, you would either type in the member's account number if you have that information, or again, you can search for them always by their last name. Click on the person's name that's going to put in their account number for us, and then we would scroll all the way down to where our change forms are listed and click select. Up at the top, the employee that's assisting with this form is going to input their employee password, just indicating that they're the ones that assisted with this particular change with the member. And then under where it says show, this is a drop-down menu where you would be able to select the form that you're wanting to pull up at this time. Once we've selected the form, under personal information, all of the customers' particulars will be brought over for us automatically right from their account. So their name and address and phone numbers and email will be automatically populated for us. And then we simply go down and start to set the criteria for this particular change. So under terms and conditions, you're going to see here that it's giving us today's date. It is letting us know when technically the next billing would be for the customer. And then we're specifying here, freeze for how a certain number of months, beginning on what date. Are we going to freeze any additional services that may be set up on the account as well, yes or no? Are we going to be freezing any sub-accounts that are attached to the customer, yes or no? And then under the terms and conditions where that verbiage would show here for us, the customer would be able to check the box, sign at the bottom, and then click continue. Once we click continue, a copy of this form will be automatically sent to that member, as well as the changes that we've made and the criteria that was set here will automatically be transferred onto their account. So those changes will be automatically made on the member account for you, and you'll not have to go back into that account and make any adjustments. Okay, taking a look next at Prospect XCapture. Prospect XCapture is where you can input your potential clients into the system as a prospect, whether it's someone that's just trying out the club or bought a day pass, or maybe you're allowing them to try out the club to see how they like it and you would like to keep their information in the system. So potentially we can make these prospects into members. You can input them through Prospect XCapture. So clicking on that selection, we have the prospect registration form. Up at the top where it says staff use only, the employee would be selected as to who's assisting this person. We have contact information here, so if we have just the first name and the telephone number, that can be inputted. If we've received more information from the member, we can input that. It is important to try and get an email address, being that this form would be electronically sent to that customer to their email address. We would want to make sure to get that at least. You can specify how they heard about you, any terms and conditions that need to be read and agreed upon, such as the waiver and release, can be done here, and check the box that they agree to those terms and conditions. And then we can get a signature from the prospect. Once we click continue, that person will now be inputted as a prospect in your system. They're then going to be found in the prospect section on the main screen of Club Systems. There is an area specifically designated for these prospective members, and it's right here at the top left corner called prospects. So a copy of this form will be sent to them as well. Taking a look next at PT XCapture. If somebody is wanting to sign up for PT or register for personal training, we'd be able to look up that customer by their last name. Once we select the name, that will populate their account number in the field for us. Then we can select what type of training they're going to be doing. If there's any package involved, whether it's a monthly EFT or a paid in full package, we can make that selection and then hit continue. So currently it's not pulling up any options because we didn't have an option in this particular site that matched that criteria. So the system is going to be quite particular on matching that information just to be able to pull up the form to be able to sign up a current member for personal training. But once you go in and select their name and bring up their account number, select what kind of training that they're going to be signing up for, it would bring up the registration page where you again would be able to set the criteria for the particular personal training that they're purchasing at this time, and definitely getting that signature at the bottom of the form, which will then be emailed to the customer so they have a copy for it for themselves as well. And then those training sessions or services would be set up on the member account at that time. That does cover how to utilize sign up for XCapture when signing up members, utilizing the change forms and doing rewrites from this first XCapture option. Prospect XCapture again is where we go to input potential clients into the system. And then finally we have PT XCapture where we can go in and set up particular training for our current members that they're signing up for these items at this time. Thank you so much.